This is the Retro Inc. podcast. Welcome back. Welcome back to this week's show. I am Adam, and with me, as always, is my wonderful friend
Andy. Hello there, mate.
Hello there. You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay now, thank you. Yeah.
Good. We had a little technical issue. We've sorted that out, hopefully. How's your week been?
It's been lovely, mate. Thank you. I've been off work this week, so baking in the sunshine with my daughter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yourself?
Well, yeah. I've been working and reading and watching lots of movies and TV shows and the usual kind of stuff. Spent some time with the girlfriend, and really looking forward to this week's show. You've been posting some nice photographs on our Instagram. I noticed.
I have indeed, mate. Yes, I went to the Seaside.
Did you now? Where did you actually go to?
I went to Southend-on-Sea.
Oh, lovely.
Lovely.
Some nice cockles and whelks and mussels in there.
No, I just try to avoid the locals.
Because they all sound like that, don't they?
They do indeed. They scare me. It was lovely. We went down there for the day. Took my daughter to Adventure Island, I think it's called, isn't it? Used to be Peter Pan's. That's how I still know it.
That's right.
But yeah, I saw some. They have got some amazing retro stuff down there. Some really nice old arcade machines and some modern versions of them. And they've got some great Star Wars stuff and some really nice vintage movie posters as well on display. So
very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've been posting them out over the last sort of 24 hours. It's been getting some lovely feedback as well, some of the pictures, but I'll go through what I saw briefly. I saw a lovely Time Crisis 5 machine.
That was a wonderful looking
especially
machine.
after I had a conversation last week. I thought,
Exactly.
But it is a wonderful looking machine. It's definitely a step up from the Time Crisis 2 that back in the day. I saw the world's largest Pac-Man machine, which was pretty cool. It did have other games on there as well, by the looks of it. From what I saw, there was a couple of shooters and stuff like that on there as well. So, but essentially, it's made to be the world's largest Pac-Man machine, and it's pretty darn cool, that one. I saw a Space Invaders Silver Anniversary Edition cabinet.
Beautiful.
Silver, 25, is it?
Yeah,
something
beautiful.
like that, 25. Yeah, it's a lovely looking little machine. It's got that classic look to it, classic feel to it. Nice graphics on it as well. It harkers back to the original Space Invaders. You know, that weird monster with his hand raised in the air coming out. Yeah, that's cool. Some really nice pinball machines. There was a Star Trek one and a Ghostbusters one. I'm not sure who they were made by, but they are, I think, originals, or at least very old. They're in there. I saw a Rambo light gun game. I don't know if you remember that from back in the day.
I do.
Yeah, so I saw the Rambo light gun game.
Wicked.
I haven't seen one of them in years.
Isn't it great, though, that arcades around the country are revamping their arcades, the ones that there are, with some nice swanky new machines?
Totally.
It's great to see, isn't
yeah. And swanky new machines, there is a Space Invaders one called Space Invaders Frenzy. And it's, I don't know if you've played things like Let's Go Jungle or the Jurassic Park games where you sit inside the cabinet and you've got a gun mounted and you fire the gun. It's kind of like a turret. But there's a Space Invaders one of that now, and it's a 2-player game. And it's on a massive LED screen in front of you. So it's very similar to the Pac-Man sort of setup, that world's largest Pac-Man setup. But yeah, Space Invaders Frenzy, so it's more of a full-on firing the turret rather than the ship at the bottom. So you're firing from the turret to take out the aliens. That was a pretty cool little machine. But they also have, we're going to go movie-wise here, there is a wall, just as you go into the main entrance to the pier. Either side of the walls, they have got classic retro movie posters down either side. And they had one for Labyrinth, Cocoon, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, The Last Starfighter, Back to the Future, Terminator.
I'm just going to get the coat.
Enemy Mine, Short Circuit, Beverly Hills Cop, Star Trek 2.
End.
They must have had some sort of deal with the people who made Jewel in the Nile, because they had 4 posters up for that one. So there was one for June, for Kroll. There was a Ghostbusters one as well. My phone unfortunately died, where I'd been going around just taking photos of everything that day, and my daughter obviously as well, because it was about a family thing. But my phone died, but there was a Ghostbusters wall up there, so it's just a reason to have to go back at some point.
Absolutely. You've just given me one reason to go back to the homeland.
I'll give you a second reason to go back to your homeland, and there is a cabinet. Now I do have some pictures to put up. I've got a post to put up. It's the Star Wars arcade machines they have there as well, but they have a whole Star Wars corner in part of the pier. The pier just underneath the entrance, and there's a cabinet called Star Wars Through the Years, and in that cabinet it's literally Star Wars Through the Years. There's a load of vintage in there. There's the books that the ones that you've shown me of the novelizations, the old ones. They've got Splinter and the Mind's Eye. There's the original Star Wars, up to things like the R2 potato head and things like that in there. There's the 1997 X-Wing in the cabinet. There's just memorabilia galore. There's some annuals in there, some big figs, a big old Wampa monster in there, the land speeder. There's a Millennium Falcon in there. I think it might be the, I'm not sure. It's the 1997, whatever that one is. There's Star Wars Rebels things in there. So it's literally Star Wars Through the Years. There is everything in there. It's a wonderful looking little cabinet. It's I said to my wife, I was like, I want this, and she was like, I think you have most of it, or you have too much. But it's a great little cabinet to go have a look at if you get down there and see that. But the actual arcade machines they've got it's a great little corner there. They've got the what do you call it? The Naboo, the pod racer. Thank you. Yeah, my mind went blank then. They've got the pod racer one, which is Star Wars Racer arcade. There's the 2 pods set up. They've got the Star Wars Star Wars Trilogy arcade machine, the classic one. Absolutely love that. And they also have the Star Wars Battle Pod. I don't know if you've seen the Star Wars Battle Pod, but it's a fantastic. I had to go on that, and I did the trench run, and I blew the Death Star up, and I felt like had achieved my goal for the day. But they've also got actually another thing that I forgot. They've got a Lando Calrissian in carbonite.
Have they?
Attached to the wall as well. Yeah, I'll send you these pictures later. I'll upload them to Instagram. So
go to our Instagram page, Retro Inc. Podcast, and also we've got some news coming, which we're going to talk about on our next podcast, about the website and some various other bits and pieces. So stay tuned for next week's podcast. Gaming news. On that gaming subject. There's a game called Fortnite. Don't know if you've heard of it.
It's a little game, isn't it? Free to play.
Yeah, free to play. 125 million people have heard of it, and it's earned Epic Games around $7 billion. It's just celebrated its 1-year anniversary, as you probably know, and Epic has released many games and updates to its popular Unreal Engine since 2012, and then sold off its Gears of War franchise to Microsoft in 2014. Fortnite is now believed to have made $1 billion from in-game purchases. Now, we both don't particularly like that type of thing going on. I would prefer to, earn bucks and gear from playing hard and long. And kids around the world obviously have been bugging their parents for money to buy stuff because they doubt very much. It's always one of those sort of things that my son, who plays the game quite a lot, is saying, can I have £7.99's worth of extra gear to give me an extra skin or two for his character? but it's incredible, isn't it, mate? That it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Fortnite is completely dominating the battle royale market, it seems, and it's believed to be so large now that it's a 20 billion last year Fortnite for the company, which is incredible. Oh no, so this is going to earn that next year, they reckon.
Oh right, okay, well.
As of last month, Fortnite had 125 million players. Incredible. I personally prefer PUBG on both iOS and Xbox myself, and in fact, I think PUBG on the mobile, on iOS and mobile devices, I think it's better myself. I couldn't get
into PUBG.
12-year-olds and up, I think, isn't it? It's supposed to be. You like it a lot. You play it a lot.
Yeah, I play Fortnite. To be honest with you, but I'm more of a casual gamer these days. I haven't got the time or the inclination or the energy to sit up late when I actually get a bit of spare time. I always fall asleep. When I play now, it's good to have a game like Fortnite. I can throw it on for 2 or 3 games and just turn it off. I tried to play last night Black Ops 3 because we were giving it free through PlayStation Plus last month before. I started playing the campaign and I fell asleep. I was sitting there, controller in my hand. Next thing you know, I could feel it rumbling and I was getting shot at, and I just can't get into.
Did your carer come in then and take time to bed, Mr. Smith?
Something like that, yeah.
It's sad, isn't it, really, when he does get that place. But I mean, the thing about mobile gaming is that you can pick up and play on your mobile, hopefully not using too much of your data. And this is where Fortnite has done incredibly well, isn't it? Is because it's available on all platforms, and it appeals to the kind of Minecraft kids who have got bored with that and have got into the battle royale market, and it mixes the two quite nicely, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's
you can build a
made
team,
for success.
You can play solo, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I've been sort of replaying some of the classic Star Wars games of yesteryear, so to speak, and examining why I loved them back then and why they stand the test of time. 3 years before Star Wars, the Clone Wars introduced Captain Rex and the Torrent Company, Star Wars Republic Commando told the story of an elite clone trooper unit fighting Darth Sidious's war, and that was the game that I really wanted to play quite a lot, was Star Wars Republic Commando, a great first-person shooter in the vein of Dark Forces, I suppose, and sort of it occupies a unique place, I think, between classic run-and-gun first-person shoot-'em-ups like Doom, and it has great sort of squad-focused mechanics of a certain sort of modern yet traditional shooter, such as Gears of War and Halo 5, which makes perfect sense, I suppose, that Tim Longo, the guy who created the game, served as creative director for Halo 5 and Guardian.
Yeah.
5 Guardians, isn't he? Now, the great thing about Republic Commando, which was first released for PC and original Xbox, which I think was back in sort of 2005, is available today in newly optimized Windows 10 edition on PC and through Xbox's One backward compatibility program, which is how I'm playing it. Is awesome, mate. Did you play this back in the day, or?
I did, and I do have a copy sitting upstairs in my little Star Wars room for PC, but I haven't actually installed it since I got that one. But I couldn't leave it in a charity shop for 50p.
No, indeed not. And as I think I mentioned on one of the earlier podcasts, I picked it up from a charity shop for very little money. But I just wanted the disc. I mean, I haven't really got a PC to play it on. But the great thing about back compatibility is that you can play your Xbox games on your Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I really love playing some of these games. Not so much for graphics, because it doesn't really upscale them so much. But it's just the fact that these games were so good back then.
Mate, I've always said I don't think graphics matter with a game.
Exactly.
You've only got to look at something like Fortnite or like Minecraft.
Yeah.
They are not exactly graphically intense, and they are the best-selling games on the planet. So graphics don't really come to it. It's all about gameplay and good story, and that is something that Republic Commando definitely had. So it's one of them. It doesn't look at Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest RPGs, action RPGs there is out there.
And also what you get too on some of these games is you get great voice actors playing the casts. Player character 3-8 is portrayed by Tamura Morrison, who obviously people would recognise as Jango Fett from Attack of the Clones and numerous other clone troopers from Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. Scorch is voiced by actor Raphael Sparge, who played Carth Onasi on the original Knights of the Old Republic game.
Yeah. I was just about to say Carth.
Tom Kane supplies the voice of Yoda in the game as well, which is great. It's just a truly great retro Star Wars shoot, and I recommend to pick it up for your PC, Xbox, or via Steam, which I know it's still available for that. So, yeah, you can't really get past 9 o'clock at night, mate, and then your eyes are going, which is a shame.
It is.
But you did get to play some retro arcade games, and I'm very jealous about that.
They did actually have another cabinet down there. Sorry, there was one other, and it was a retro arcade cabinet. It had tons of games on there, and you could go through the list and choose what one you wanted to play, and that was just in the foyer of the pier entrance as well. So if you do get down there, go have a gander at that, because I think you'll love it.
You've put that on the list of things to do before the end of the summer, but it's also given me a little idea. I do have some ideas for tomorrow. I've got a day off tomorrow, and I might head to Brighton Pier and have a little look there, and I shall take some pics.
Nice.
If I do, and we'll whack them onto our Instagram and Facebook page.
Go for it.
I'm a big comic book fan, and I do love independent comic books, companies like Image and Vertigo and IDW, which released a few years ago a series called Lock and Key. This is now becoming a TV series. If you've not heard of Lock and Key, it's written by Joe Hill. Do you know who Joe Hill is?
No, but I've heard of Lock and Key. I think I must have heard this news about the show.
Yeah, well, Joe Hill, his father is Stephen King.
Oh, right. Okay.
And he decided to use that name because he thought if he worked off the Stephen King name, obviously. Anyway, this horror fantasy comic series about a group of young siblings exploring their ancestors' home after the gruesome death of their father. They move into this really large house that they inherit, and they discover magical keys which grant them powers, and are soon faced with this demon who's attempting to retrieve the keys from the family. Now, I loved this comic book series.
It sounds good. It sounds really good.
The artwork is a bit weird. I can't really describe what the artwork's like, but it's not Marvel kind of art. It's not DC art. It's very much of an independent comic book, like comic books.
Clean, I get it.
It was clean, yeah. So this is available, I think, in 6 hardcovers. It's also available in what's called the Master Editions. I think there's 3 of those. They're beautiful books. They're really stunning. So they've concised the 6 into 3 books. So beautiful things to pick up. But I'm very excited that this wonderful comic book series is going to be available hopefully soon as a TV series, and I can't wait to see that come to fruition. Talking of TV series, some news broke that a TV movie from the early 80s, which was produced by Terry Gilliam, known as The Wonderful Time Bandits, and I subtly put a poster up on our Facebook page of Time Bandits, and it's being considered for a TV series. Now, I think we may have mentioned this before, didn't we not? Maybe we didn't. No, we mentioned something else that we're going to mention later. But anyway, if you've not seen the film, it's a time travel fantasy with, how would we call these guys? Small people.
Yep. I think, now, if this hasn't got Peter Dinklage in it, I will remove my left leg. Okay, I am betting my left leg that Peter Dinklage will be in this series.
I think you could be right there.
And they will pay the earth to get him now.
I think actually we may have spoken about it before, maybe not on air, but Time Bandits was once considered for a remake that would retool the tale as a kid-friendly action franchise, which, despite the fact that the movie's main character is an 11-year-old history nerd, was a terrible idea considering how Monty Python's weird and dark the movie was. It was very dark in places.
Yeah.
And
I think you find that it's something of the time.
It has a very weird ending.
If you look at Return to Oz,
yeah,
that's a really dark movie, but it's still it's something of the time. I don't know what it is, but that was a weird era for kid stuff.
I think the TV potential adaptation has been kind of on the win since I think the late 2015 sort of period. Yeah. I know.
When Peter Dinklage just started getting a bit big.
I think once. Yeah, once they were like, "Oh, I think we might have a lead here."
Yeah.
But this is, I think this is going to be done by Apple.
I'm out. There you go.
Well, we'll see. But I mean, the original film director and co-writer are aboard as a non-writing executive producer. This is what they're trying to get Gilliam on.
Cool.
Or Gilliam, as I should have pronounced his name correctly. But beyond that, really, there's no information about how close Time Bandits TV series might keep to the film. How close to that?
I think, mate,
it's going to be... Wasn't it, the lead character, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be conceptual. I think that's what it'll be. It'll just be, they'll take the idea of Time Bandits and they're just going to run with that. I don't think we're going to have anything really to do with the movie. I think it'll just be the idea. So
we certainly won't get John Cleese.
Who knows?
He played Robin Hood, didn't he?
I think so.
He did,
mate.
yeah. Robin Hood was played by John Cleese.
Yeah.
The Supreme Being. Now that's the same character as from Tron, wasn't it?
The Supreme Being.
The Supreme Being in the Time Bandits was
who played Tron or
Dillinger? Wasn't it Dillinger? Was it him? Was it the same actor who played Dillinger in Tron?
Oh, I don't know.
Who played the Supreme Being?
I don't know. That's well out of my nerddom. That is to know that.
I think I'm there somewhere around there. But obviously, there's a lot there for the Time Bandits TV show to draw on.
I think with Time Bandits, if you like Monty Python and you like Eric the Viking and Jabberwocky and things like that, you're going to enjoy.
And a bit of time travel, of course.
Yeah, you're gonna enjoy it. Yeah, the Time Bandits very much so.
But Apple are behind this, so we'll just see what happens to that. I just hope they do it justice towards the original movie's fantastical.
Because it's Apple. What will happen is because it's Apple, they release an episode, but halfway through that episode, they release a new episode, and then you'll have to wait a couple of months, and then you'll get another episode, but then you'll get episode 4S. Yeah, and then they just keep bringing out new bits every 6 months to a year, and people will be queuing. Yeah, and people will be queuing up outside the shop to watch it, even though they don't actually watch it. Usually, it's just because it's got Apple written on it. They're going to be there, and they're going to go there in their nice tweed shirts and handlebar moustaches on their unicycle.
Well, something else that Apple are hopefully going to add to their streaming service is a fresh version of Steven Spielberg's beloved anthology series called Amazing Stories. Do you remember watching that?
I do, mate. I love it. Isn't this where, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Amazing Stories where Green Mile first aired with Patrick Swayze, wasn't it?
Well, good call, mate.
Yeah.
That was it, indeed. On a past podcast, we also mentioned that there would be in the making, hopefully, a Lord of the Rings TV series, which is going to be a prequel series. Now, there's been more news of that. Amazon announced that its Lord of the Rings TV series has put another piece into the place, and there's been mentioned that it's a very thoughtful process in trying to get the right tone of this and finding the right road for this series to take with the vast world of J.R. Tolkien. And but we do know who's going to shape it. It's a chap called J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, whose recent projects have included Star Trek 4. Well, actually, it wasn't recent, was it? Star Trek 4. But he wrote it for Paramount, and Disney's Jungle Cruise. Now, I haven't seen that.
No, that's not out yet. That's The Rock. Dwayne Johnson's going to be in that. Yeah, I follow him quite avidly on social media, and he's wanted to do that property for years, and that's going to be big. That
wonderful. Well, that's good news. I just thought, hang on, I do like me Disney movies, and I don't remember seeing that one. So, well, I mean, let's just hope that this again is something that does it justice,
mate. I mean, this is the thing that I was so excited when I heard this news. And I know Amazon are doing it, and I don't subscribe to Amazon. This will make me subscribe. I will subscribe to watch this. So they know what they're doing here. They know they're putting people in with news like this and with production like this. It's mooted as the most expensive, thing ever made, like, media. I think it's 500 million they've got as a budget for this show, which is absolutely ridiculous for a TV show. I don't know if that's for all the series combined, because I know that they said this is going to be, I think it was 5 series at least of Lord of the Rings. So
that's kind of HBO Game of Thrones budget, isn't it? And above,
yeah,
really.
Yeah, so it's one of those 500 million for a TV show. Lord of the Rings. There's rumblings now that Ian McKellen might want back in as Gandalf. There's all these things, they fall into place. They're on for something pretty special here if they pull it off, especially with Game of Thrones ending. And this will be a lot more family friendly, I should imagine, to a degree. I still wouldn't show my daughter Lord of the Rings now. But 12 and above, that sort of age, definitely you could sit down on a Saturday night, and this will pull in some numbers. This really will.
I did a little bit of searching around and found a couple of forums, and there's certainly plenty of speculation on what the series might cover, including whether or not it will dive into a sort of a tale of young Aragorn, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
But what I did see is that the show already has cost Amazon an astronomical amount to buy, and has a multi-season order. There will be no Peter Jackson involvement in the series at all. So
I'm okay with that.
That's good, I think. It keeps his thing very standalone.
Yeah, exactly. It won't be tarred with the same brush then. It won't, not in a bad way, but people won't be looking at this and drawing a comparison to Peter Jackson's, hopefully, as a, they'll be looking at this as his own entity. And like you say, and if this show fails, then Peter Jackson's films are still that, it won't suffer the fate of the OT with the prequels. That's that sort of thing, where people start to bash it when they shouldn't, because you can enjoy both or one. It's up to you. But yeah, with Peter Jackson not on this, I think it's going to give him a lot more creative, freedom. Like they won't have to stay to the restraints of the style and the ideals set out, because this is a prequel as well. It's not Lord of the Rings. It's going to have that banner, but it's not the Lord of the Rings story, So yeah, I'm glad it's not him. And as well, love him to bits. Great films. After The Hobbit, let someone else take the reins.
Talking of a big franchise, there was a little bit of news this week, and the Star Wars cast has been announced for Episode 9.
Oh, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
The sad thing, obviously, is after the passing of Carrie Fisher, we will be seeing Carrie Fisher, not any hologram or any kind of CG effect. She is going to feature using unseen footage recorded before her death, and writer and director J.J. Abrams has said that there was quite a lot of footage from Force Awakens which they're going to be using. Now, I just hope that it works, and I'm sure this man, with his slight godlike vision, because I do consider Mr. Abrams as one of the best directors that we have currently. He's going to do not only her a beautiful send-off and justice, but really finish off this Disney sequels in a very beautiful way, and he's also said there's quite a lot of nods going towards the prequels, which I'm very excited about.
Well, he always said that this film was going to bridge the gap between the prequels, the original trilogy, and the new sequel trilogy. Exactly. And I'm ecstatic at the news of Carrie being in this movie, because it's going to take away any issues I have trying to get. We miss her dearly. There's no denying that, and we all wish she could come back and be in this film in the capacity that she should be. But this will give us the opportunity to see her in a movie. We won't be distracted by the fact that she's not there. Not that I'm trying to verbalise this in a way that doesn't sound selfish or rude, but not having her there would kind of mar the enjoyment of the last movie in the franchise, and it would you'd constantly be looking over your shoulder for Carrie in this film, and you'd miss her presence. And even if they write her out, any way they do that would feel shoehorned in. And this will give us the opportunity to go into that movie and not have to worry about any of that. And I can go into this with the full knowledge that I'm going to enjoy what JJ brings to the final chapter.
I think we both, and most Star Wars fans that are very optimistic and positive about Star Wars, are thrilled at this news. Star Wars Episode 9 begins filming on Wednesday of August the 1st, which is...
when you're listening to this tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's at Pinewood Studios.
It's happening, mate. It's happening.
So
it's happening.
We're going to see the cast arriving there, which will be Miss Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, and Lupita Nyong'o, amongst others. Now, there was an announcement of a particular British actor who starred in With Now Lion Gosford Park, and that is Mr. Richard E. Grant.
He is one of my favourite all-time ever actors, Mr. Grant is. I don't know if you've ever seen a really lovely little British film called Jack and Sarah.
Indeed, I did. It's very sad.
It's one of my favourites.
Wonderful film. Yeah, wonderful film.
Phenomenal movie.
He plays unusually a drunk at the beginning of that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And finds out that he has a daughter. Is that correct?
No. His wife dies.
His wife dies.
Giving birth to the daughter, and he gets left with the child. And obviously, it's a film about the trials and tribulations of him having to deal with bringing up a child on his own when he's such a career-driven person. He's not really built for the family life. And I mean, there's a scene, it will deduce me to tears when he comes home and the Chinese they are eating from the night before, where they've just moved in, is sitting on the boxes, and he sees a lipstick on the glass, and he has a complete breakdown. And I mean, I can't even imagine.
His mother in this, I can't remember the actress's name.
Yeah.
She's wonderful.
Yeah, I think Pete Postlethwaite is in this as well.
He's in it. Yes, right.
But it's Samantha Mathis in this movie is this sort of the semi-love interest.
What a great actress she was.
She's fantastic.
You don't see her in anything.
No, I mean,
maybe we could
really underrated
Star Wars again. That would...
But really underrated, Samantha Mathis. She was good in American Psycho.
That's right. Yeah,
as the riddling adult girlfriend. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic movie, Jack and Sarah, if you haven't seen it. But Richard E. Grant in that film.
Wonderful.
He is wonderful. Such a powerful performance. Yeah, he's really excited to see him in this. Really happy about it.
British actress Naomi Ackie has also joined the cast. But really, we're going to go back to the role of Leia Organa and her being once again played by Carrie Fisher in this 9th film, using the unreleased footage from Force Awakens. And I really hope that they sort of draw her character story to an end beautifully. It's quite astonishing, isn't it? That, I mean, she was only 60 years old when she died in 2016 after just finishing work on The Last Jedi, and she had a heart attack on a Los Angeles bound flight. And I know he had this beautiful, compassionate connection with her. And undoubtedly, Ryan Johnson did as well. I know when I saw the sort of the making of behind, he was moved to tears when there's that scene with Luke and Leia, and that's a scene that if you watch the making of, I think it's called a director's something or other. I can't remember what it's called, that piece, but it really set me off.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, she seems to be one of those souls where anyone who speaks about her has nothing but admiration and love for her. I mean, you see, Oscar Isaac's relationship with her is beautiful. And I mean, that's someone she'd only worked with for a couple of years at the time. You know, you're talking about people like Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford. They just seem to have nothing but complete admiration for her. She seems like she was just perfect. Just perfect. And it's such a shame to have her taken away from us like that. And we get to see her again, and that's going to be great.
Somebody else we're going to see again, and it's a wonderful thing because this gentleman, Mr. Billy D. Williams, isn't getting any younger, and we haven't seen him anything for a great deal of time. I'm sure he may well have been on a few American TV shows, but we certainly haven't seen him in movies. So the return of Billy D. Williams to the sci-fi franchise, fantasy franchise, which is Star Wars, as Lando Calrissian, the hero of the rebellion, which he clearly possibly still is. What is he, General? General
Calrissian, yeah, he was last time we saw him, wasn't he?
I'm surprised we haven't seen him before in TFA, because if he's a general, surely he's right. But certainly he has returned. We last saw him in Return of the Jedi, obviously.
Well, they was sending for help, wasn't they? And nobody was coming.
That's right.
So maybe there is someone coming.
And I mean, you know, when you think what a character he became, from just literally being a traitor to Han, and then redeeming himself, we've now got a character that, you know, blew up Death Star 2. And I'm not going to speculate on how this film ends, but you know, there's a scene that I'm kind of imagining where eventually he's sitting in the cockpit with Chewie, and that last scene of them flying away and credits roll. I hope that happens, but there we are.
You have a different picture in your head to me.
Do you?
Because I see them two sitting in that cockpit and it being taken out.
Well, let's just go through the cast, mate, shall we?
Yeah, because there's one I really want to get to in here that you haven't mentioned yet.
So let's go through. We've got Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Adam Driver, Kelly Moutran, Eunice Satamo, Donald Gleason, and Lupita Nyong'o. And we have Kerry Russell.
Yeah.
Was this the young lady you were going to talk about?
No.
Okay, Mr. Richard E. Grant. We have Naomi Aki and Billy Lord. We also have, obviously, Mark Hamill, Billy.
Yeah, that's the one I want to talk about, Mark Hamill.
Anthony Daniels,
man. Come on.
Did you want to talk about Mr. Hamill?
I always want to talk about Mr. Hamill. Seriously, we could do the Hamill cast. We could just talk about him every week.
I was going to save him to last, but of course, with this sort of poster with the little thumbnails, he's to the left of the bottom row. Okay, how do you think we're going to see Mr. Hamill return as Luke Skywalker?
False Ghost, dude. Like, this. Honestly, I think in my head, JJ, this is what I see we're going to see in this movie. We're going to see the original Return of the Jedi ending. Yeah. Because this is the whole bridging the gap between the prequel trilogy, the OT, and the sequel trilogy. We are going to have Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Yoda, Luke, maybe Hayden Christensen as Anakin, and we're going to have all of them guys kicking some First Order backside.
You know that nail you've just hit on the head? That's exactly that's how I see it.
Yeah, totally. We're going to have the Knights of Ren even.
Prequels, it's got to be that, hasn't it?
Of course it is. And we're going to have the Knights of Ren. And I think that's what's going to be this big showdown at the end. We're going to have these more corporeal, false spirits that, you know, we know they are capable of. We're going to have to see them face down the Knights of Ren in some big old
we first saw
the showdown.
Massive Jedi battle in Attack of the Clones, didn't we? And now this looks like another, let's go back to the prequels and see Jedis fighting Sith.
Yeah.
As we saw with Maul, of course, and I think that's it. I think that's what we're going to get. I think we get some very, very powerful Jedi's
Oh,
fight.
come on, man. Like, can you just imagine this last scene
lightning coming down
in a rainy landscape akin to, the scene from Force Awakens where the Knights of Ren are standing around with all the slain bodies, right? That sort of aesthetic. And you see these lightsabers go up and you've got the Knights of Ren, and opposite them is Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Yoda, Mark Hamill, like, it would just be mental to see that on screen. Like, how crazy. I mean, I'm trying not to swear here because I'm getting so pumped with this, but how crazy would that be to see?
The only reason why I think this is all happening is because not only is JJ at the helm, but we do have the wonderful Kathleen Kennedy. Now, I'm a great supporter of her, as you are, mate, because let's just face it, this woman has incredible history in the movie business. And with so much negativity being thrown around, we know that the right person is at the top of the pile who's making sure all this works. And
haters going to hate, and haters can do one, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. And we know that, she has only ever had George's story at her uppermost in her mind to make sure everything just works perfectly for George. And this is going to be one hell of a film.
Of course. I mean, if she's listening to fans, and I say fans loosely here, these are the haters, the people that are moaning about it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some people out there with some really genuine gripes with the movies, and you don't have to like it all, and I get that. It's the people that are hating for just being negative. So the trolls, right? They're the ones that I have a problem with. If you don't like Attack of the Clones, then you don't have to like Attack of the Clones. I don't like it. It doesn't mean that I hate the other films less. Okay? But if Kathleen's listening to these people and the fans in general, they're saying, well, I didn't really like this bit, but I did like that. Then what people want to see here is more Jedis, more original Star Wars-esque, which is exactly what JJ brought to the fray when he made The Force Awakens. It's the first time I'd felt the original trilogy really shine through in a modern Star Wars movie. You get more Jedis in there. People that like the prequel trilogy, that missed that, said there wasn't enough of that. If, you throw in Ewan McGregor and you throw in, what's his name? Liam Neeson into the mix, you're going to have it all. You're going to have it all. And all these people that like
what about Mace Windu? Do you think Mace might come back?
He could do. It's always a possibility, isn't it? And I mean, there's no reason why any of those Jedi, and I mean, especially when you get into realms of, say,
Big Order 66.
Yeah, any of the Jedi that were sitting on the council that had the prosthetics on and stuff, the prosthesis, you can bring any of them back because they will look timeless anyway. They don't age because you could just make that again. But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what. If this is what we get, it's what everyone wants a piece of. There's a bit of what everyone wants in that idea.
We're going to have some more Maz as well, which is great news.
It is. I liked her in the first film. I thought she was just really underused in the second one.
Well, if you know anything about the comics and Clone Wars, you'll know that Lando and Maz were good pals. So this might well explain. Hopefully, he'll have time to do it. I mean, it's hopefully going to be a 2.5 hour plus movie. We might get, that story for another time. We might well get that story. And it's got to come from Lando and Cloud City where that saber came from.
Yeah, cool.
So hopefully there's a little explanation of that too. And we're going to see more Maz. And hopefully I've heard sort of rumblings that she's got this fantastic kind of pirate ship boat spaceship thing.
We know she's out there causing some havoc, don't we? So
indeed, but I'm like yourself probably going to avoid anything from certain YouTubers that tend to sort of try and put what they know, what they speculate out there.
Yeah.
We are amongst a lot of theorists in the Star Wars community. And it's always good to have theories, of course, but it's only when we get Lucasfilm and Disney that give us the information when we know the truth of what's happening. And we have now got a year and a half to wait, haven't we? It's tough.
A long old time, mate.
It's a long time.
But then let's be fair, right? We've got a year and a half to wait. So what are we looking at here? Do you reckon about May for a trailer?
That's quite early.
Teaser in
Quite
May?
early. But if he starts filming as from this week, forthcoming week...
you've got to remember they are going to put all their cards on the table for this.
Those summer movies, we've got Miss Marvel, we've got a couple of other, we've got some big stuff coming. Whatever's going to be out around that sort of May, June, summer.
But they've got to put all their cards on the table for this movie. This is going to be...
See, hopefully just a little trailer.
That's what I mean. Even 10 seconds of Luke looking at the camera, and then it just fades away and it comes up with the name. Star Wars Episode 9, the blah, blah, blah. And I don't think that's what it'd be called, by the way. The blah, blah, blah. Not that it matter. They call it what they wanted, and I'd still go. But that's what I mean. Like, I think JJ is going to put all his cards on the table here for this one, and they know full well they're going to have to go in full guns blazing with marketing, with teasing, with winding people up. It's what Rian Johnson didn't really do. We all complained to a degree that there wasn't enough given to us. We were all waiting and waiting and waiting, and we were like, where are these trailers? Where is this? I think
it was more Solo, actually, the fact that we got very, very late trailers. And
that was even worse. That was understandable, late. And I understand why that happened, because of, obviously, the firing of Lord and Miller. It put them behind. They wanted to make sure things were right, and I think they had a lot of extra work to do behind the scenes that people really didn't grasp for that thing. But I think with The Force Awakens, and I know it's slightly different kettle of fish because we waited for so long for Star Wars and they didn't really want to give us much, but when they did, they gave it, and they gave it hard. And I remember I spoke before about how I first saw that trailer and how I reacted. And I think with this, they're going to have to go with more of that. I think they're going to have to go in here, Pete, with this is the end, potentially, of the Skywalker saga. And that's big, man.
What did you think this film was going to be called? Come on, give us your name.
Well,
is it going to have "the" at the beginning of it?
No, see, because I personally always thought this trilogy would end before The Last Jedi. I thought this was going to be called Rise of the Jedi, but I don't think they'll do that after The Last Jedi because it's too samey. Maybe Balance of the Force. Something like that, but then we've got The Force Awakens. So I think you look at all these films, it's always A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. There's no real parallels there, sort of rhyming stanza with the names. They've always been very different from each other, and I don't think they'll go. I think they'll continue that pattern here. So it's really a completely, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of obvious names for this, like I say, Balance of the Force and Rise of the Jedi and Return of the Force. I don't know. There's loads, but using the word Force and Jedi right now doesn't seem plausible to me.
It doesn't. No.
So therefore, I'm lost. I mean, all the ideas I had before The Last Jedi are completely out the window.
When this news broke of the cast, I did write down a couple of ideas. And none of them actually seemed plausible at all, which is quite fantastic because it's going to be a complete surprise.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. There seems to be a pattern of no pattern with the naming conventions, except for the fact that it's usually the last one of the trilogy has got something to do with Sith or Jedi, and again, Rian Johnson seemed to make the end film of the trilogy.
A word I kept coming up was alliance, and I thought maybe that could be in the title, alliance, because we've got rebellion, we've got rebel, we've got alliance, we've got empire, we've got all these. We've got first order. So,
well, that's the thing. Another one of mine would be New Jedi Order, but we're not going to get Jedi. It's not going. If we do, I will be so surprised if that gets used. And I think alliance and they're great words.
A hero returns. The hero returns.
Who knows? Because let's be honest, with JJ, we only accept The Force Awakens now because it's been 4 years. When it first got announced, I was like, that is a really strange name for a Star Wars movie. The Force Awakens. It didn't really, to me, it didn't fit, and not in a bad way. I was kind of pleasantly surprised with that naming convention, but
It's the only name for that film now, isn't it?
It is the only name for that film, yeah, and because it works. I mean, obviously story-wise, but then we're not going to have Fall of the Force or the Balance of the Force because Force was used in the first one of the trilogy. We're not going to have Jedi. We're not going to have Sith because Sith has been used before. There seems to be a real, I don't know, unless it's like Fall of the Sith, but then there is no actual Sith in this movie, is there? So it's. Where? I mean, I don't know. I'll have fun though. I know for the next year and a half. I think what
we should do is we should put this out to the listeners and go to our Facebook page. And what we'll do is we'll put a little post on there. What do you think episode 9 will be called? And we'd love to see your clean, please, for a start. And try and come up with something that you think is very legitimate for a Star Wars title. So we'll put a little post on the Facebook page, and we'd love to see what titles the listeners come up with. As for this week's podcast, I'd like to thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Smith. Your pictures from the arcade were very exciting, mate. I must admit, I did get quite a thrill out looking at those. So please do go to our Instagram page and check those out. And do go and check out our retroinkpodcast.co.uk site. More on that and more information on our next podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.